I am a brahmachari in ISKCON Sydney Temple. You're all in Alice Springs, Central Australia, even though it's part of Northern Territory, and I'm in Sydney. We are in the East Coast, part of New South Wales. Thousands of kilometers separate us. Technology brings us closer. So today I thought, normally I use whiteboard to teach to our students who are present here physically. I thought starting from today for the next 4 more weeks, Madhav Gopal Prabhu will be back on, I think, 1st of March. So we have today as well as the whole of February. So I thought I'll give you a little bit a glimpse on the application of different verses of Bhagavad Gita. I know you've been studying Bhagavad Gita sequentially verse by verse, so we won't be going verse by verse for the next 5 sessions including today. So I thought today, starting from today, I'll take this opportunity to touch on few verses across different chapters of Bhagavad Gita just to give you an idea how this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita is relevant in our day-to-day lives. After all, what use is the philosophy if we can't put into practice? So today, I just opened Bhagavad Gita and I thought whatever verse that comes to me first, I'll focus on that. Guess what? I came across a verse which has a direct connection on anger management. How many of you have experienced this feeling of anger ever in life? All of you? Good. I think those of you who didn't put your hand up, you're lying. All of us have, including a little child. So many times we go through this emotion and 100% of the times we regret later, why did I react in a certain way? And this is one emotion that breaks a lot of things. It breaks relationship between countries, between villages, between towns, between families. People end up in divorce if they don't know how to channelize this emotion. And normally when we speak about anger, anger is usually connected with something, a situation when we want things to happen in a certain way, but for some reason things are beyond our control and we express our frustration in anger. Let's say a mother is trying to teach her child and the child doesn't do something correct or something does exactly opposite, something which is drastically opposite. Then the mother has that emotion, but that's the love of the mother that's coming out as anger. It's not like anger is channelized towards enemies only. Even with people who we love the most, it comes out like that. I was once watching a video, Discovery Channel, and I remember once there was one small monkey that got stuck in the bushes, couldn't come out. The mother monkey was trying, somehow it managed to get some support from the people around, and the people somehow, after much ordeal, they managed to save the small monkey, baby monkey. And they are showing the baby monkey is coming towards the mother. Normally in that situation, what would a mother do? The mother would go grab and would express the love by a tight embrace, correct? In this case, the baby monkey comes, first emotion which the mother monkey is showing is slapping. That's her way of expressing the love. Slapping here doesn't mean the person is hating the other person. The person is actually totally upset with them. No. It's that emotion of love, but that is coming as slapping of the mother monkey towards the baby monkey. Now, this is a simple example, but if we look in real lives, many times things actually go all the times. If I ask you since morning, if I ask you to list down things which went according to your plan versus things which didn't, I'm pretty sure which list is longer. The 10 times things don't go as planned, so we have more reasons to actually feel angry than to be happy in a day. So today I thought I'll touch on this verse which directly speaks about anger. First I'll recite the verse. It's second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, verse 62 and 63. 2 verses. And then I'll actually draw a flowchart and we'll go step by step. All in the next half an hour. So bear with me. And I hope I'm audible and I'm clear. Are you able to understand what I'm saying? Yes? No? Yes. Okay, good. So this is Bhagavad Gita, second chapter, 62 and 63rd verse. And the verses goes like this. Dhyayato vishayan pumsas Sangasteshu pajayate, sangat sanjayate, kama, kamat krodho abhijayate, krodhat bhavati sammoha, sammohat smriti vibramaha, smriti bhramsat buddhinasho, buddhinashat pranashyati. So this is the series of verses. Now, what Krishna is saying in these two verses is he is drawing a universal principle about when anger arises. And he also tells about if one doesn't control anger, what it will lead one to. And he also tells how we can come out of this anger. Three things he says. First, he tells about the root cause of anger. If you don't have a copy of this Bhagavad Gita, you can speak to Kangana Mataji and you can get a copy for you. So here Krishna speaks about 8 steps. How anger arises, the cause of anger, and what happens if the anger goes unbridled, what it can potentially lead one to, and how to control anger. So first I'm going to draw a flow chart and I'll follow the verse. Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsa. Dhyayato means to think, contemplation. Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsa Sangasteshu Pajayate. In other words, if one contemplates on an object, one develops attachment. Sangasteshu Pajayate, Sangat Sanjayate Kama. From attachment comes lust. And from lust, Kamat Krodho Abhijayate. From lust, anger arises. So this is the first 4 steps. And then it continues. Krodhat bhavati sammoha. From anger, illusion. Sammohat smriti vibramaha. Bewilderment of memory. Bewilderment of memory. Smriti Bhramshat Buddhinasho, loss of intelligence. Buddhinashat Pranashyati. Then one falls down. So these are the 8 steps. First, I recited the verses. Now I'll tell you the translation of the verse. Krishna is saying, while you contemplate on something, you develop attachment for that object. And that can be anything. And from attachment, you keep thinking about something for a longer period of time, you develop lust. Lust is a word which is normally used in our modern parlance for the attraction between a boy and a girl. But in Vedic times, Kama, for that matter in any scripture, Kama is used in a broader context. Kama means extreme attachment. Love is the starting point, but then you become possessive of it. Extreme expression of love. That is used lust. And this lust is used, as I said, in a more broader context. For example, in Vedic times, that lust can be towards, let's say, if you have an iPhone, the word Kama is used even for iPhone. Kama is used even for land. Kama is used even for power. Okay, so lust here doesn't have to be limited only to the attraction between a boy and a girl, but lust, as I said, is used in a more broader context. And from lust, anger arises. I'll go through each one of them. I'm just telling you just the translation of the flow. First you contemplate on something, you think about something, you look, and then you think, you start to think about it, then you think, yeah, I want that. That's attachment. And you keep contemplating more. If I have that, I can do this, I can do that. You know what? I can't live without it. Now you are going to the stage of lust. And from lust, anger arises. I'll tell you how shortly. And from anger, one gets into illusion. Then from illusion, one's memory becomes bewildered. Memory becomes bewildered means there are many things we learn by experience. They say experience is the best teacher. Usually people don't say the second half of the saying. The actual saying goes like this: experience is the best teacher because fools learn no other way. An intelligent person will learn from other people's mistake. That's why we study history. That's why we study scriptures. That's why we watch news and we see if people behave in a certain way, what awaits them. Better we don't tread along that path. Let us mend our ways straight away. That's the whole idea. But bewilderment of memory means you have experienced something in life and you have learnt a lesson. But when you are angry and when you are going through delusion, whatever experience, whatever knowledge and wisdom you have gained till that point in your life, which is very much within your memory, you can't access that knowledge. Have you come across this situation when you think, I knew that, I don't know why I reacted like that? That's what happens, bewilderment of memory. When bewilderment of memory, if one proceeds there, one loses one's intelligence, buddhi nashat. When one's intelligence is lost, then what will happen? Nobody knows. Anything can happen. Then one falls down. Now, let us go step by step. So this is how Krishna says how anger arises and what happens if anger goes uncontrolled. First you start with the contemplation. As I said, anything, if you think about, somebody must have told us something. Let us say if somebody says it will be fantastic to get a brand new car. Now, we may not have any experience about the car, but the more we hear, more we think, yes, this is what we want. If you read Ramayana, you will see Ravana actually didn't see Sita face to face. It was Shrupanaka who first attempts to go and marry Lord Ram. Lord Ram rejects and he tells to Shrupanaka that I am already married to Mother Sita. So you go approach my brother. So she goes to his brother, which is Lakshman. Lakshman says in a jovial way, you see, I am just a servant to my brother and his wife. If you get married to me, then you will also become a maidservant to them. In this way, he politely declines. Now Shrupanaka turns her anger towards Mother Sita. Then she thinks, if I get rid of Sita, then I can go to her position and become the consort of Lord Ram. Thinking this way, when she runs to harm Mother Sita, at that time Lord Ram orders Lakshman to stop her and Lakshman punishes her by chopping off her nose. Now after this incident, Shrupanaka goes to Lanka because she is sister of Ravana. She goes to Ravana and she says, you know what, I came across this most beautiful girl you would have ever seen. I went and approached Lord Ram to get her for you. And then she goes about describing about the beauty of Mother Sita. Ravana till that point hasn't seen, but simply hearing, contemplating on that, he developed lust. So same thing we can understand even from us. We may not have experience of a car, of an iPhone or anything in our life. But if we see an advertisement or we see walking through the shopping mall, we see how nicely they have decorated, presented. Or we see one of our friends or acquaintances or colleague using something which we think, wow, it would have been nice if I also had one. So first you see, you get that information through our eyes or through ears also. In Ravana's case, for example, we can just hear. I bought this wonderful vacuum cleaner. I spilled something. I could immediately clean. If you hear one of your colleagues bragging like that, you think like, yeah, it would be nice. I also spill things. It would be nice to actually be able to clean in 2 minutes. It would be nice to have a robot. We start to contemplate. So when we start to contemplate, when we go deep in that contemplation, we come to a point wherein what was just a concept, hearsay initially, simply by repeating that contemplation, we develop that attachment. And we come to a point wherein this is it. I can't live without it, even though we might not have seen it. But that's what happens. So Krishna is warning us, we have to control what we contemplate. Something that goes even prior to contemplation is gathering information, which means we have to be clear where our eyes are going. We have to be clear what we are hearing. If these days especially, you bombard at the back of the bus, you see this big advertisement. You can't actually look here, there. You are driving behind the bus. Where can you look? If you look here, you will make an accident there. So you have to see. So everything is glaring. Big billboards are glaring. You watch television between every over of a cricket match, between every second scene of a movie, they'll always keep flashing advertisements simply to gather this contemplation. If you remember, in movies, if you are from India, I still remember in childhood days they do. I don't know whether they still do it. It's been ages since I have watched, more than 2 decades, I think, since I have been to any movie theater. So what they'll do is, towards interval, They'll say interval block, you will see interval, break, like that. But then, and then it goes. Suddenly they'll just flash Coca-Cola and they'll actually take it away. Till that point, we are okay. Okay, interval, there's going to be break. Moment you see Coca-Cola, we think they will pretend as if they showed it accidentally. It's not. When we see them flashing Coca-Cola or Pepsi, anything, till that point, our mind is already tired. It's in the dark room till then watching, feels tired. It is undecided. Should I or should I not? Should I go out and drink something or should I not? As soon as it sees Coca-Cola, mind is convinced, yeah, I have to drink Coca-Cola now. That's the whole idea of marketing. They just keep flashing it. Marketing, if you study Edmund Barnes, he is considered to be the father of sales and marketing. When they had, initially, they tried to sell ready-made mix, how to make a cake. So they released the product in the market, nobody bought it. And then they did the survey why people aren't buying. I'm talking about 50, 60 years ago. And people were worried why, the businessmen were worried, why aren't people buying this product? This is a fantastic product. They have to just mix water and put it in the oven and they get a cake straight away. But then product didn't go sell. They hired him. He came, studied it, understood the mood of the people, and he asked them to just add one more instruction in the directions at the back of the product. And the direction goes, you mix it with water and break the egg, add the egg, mix it. Is it such a difficult thing? But when they added this line and sent it to the market, suddenly the product became a hot product in the market. It became like a runaway hit. Because until that point, people were doing, on one hand, they want a product which is very easy to get. But on the other hand, they feel they are not really involved. So the job satisfaction isn't there for who are cooking the cake. But as soon as they put mix egg in it, do some kneading there and then you do, then they feel, yeah, I'm part of it, I'm doing something. So even though they actually didn't do much, but it gave them the sense of achievement. And that was enough for the product to actually kick off in the market. Contemplation. Whole sales and marketing works at that level only. And they know, keep on hitting, repeating again and again and again. At some point, we will actually capture the attention of people. And then when they start to contemplate on it for longer, they will get attachment. Many times, this is how they send you, movie trailers, movie teasers. 9 out of 10 times, we'll always realize, following the trailer, if we go and watch a movie, we'll come out disappointed. Because in trailer, they'll always pick the best scenes. And they'll show, raising the expectation of us, that whole movie is going to be like that. Whole 2.5 hours, 3 hours is going to be like that. But actually, when you watch the movie, you come out, you realize the best part of the movie was just the trailer, nothing else. Attachment. When you contemplate, you gather information, you start to think long enough, then you develop attachment for it. When that attachment goes more deep, you kind of get obsessed with that idea. Then you get lust. As I said, lust is used on a more broader context. Lust is love. Not love in the general nice sense we use. Love in the sense that, as I said, it's more like an obsession. So that's lust. When lust has got a very interesting quality, when lust is fulfilled, let us say you go to a market, buy an iPhone, and you get it. You get a nice screen protector, you get a nice cover, because until that point, your mind has already gone past this stage, and it says, no, you can be happy in life only if you buy an iPhone. And you go to the market and you buy an iPhone, or Samsung, whatever phone. Do you think your mind will actually leave you at peace? Okay, you have fulfilled my desire. Now I won't complain about anything. I won't actually tell you anything at all. No. Moment you buy iPhone, come home and watch a Samsung ad, you would start to think already, maybe I should have bought Samsung. That's what mind does. When lust is fulfilled, in this case, even when you get what you want, when lust is fulfilled, it only leads to greed. Interesting emotion. Krishna speaks about it later. We'll come to that one other verse. But for now, understand the relationship between lust and anger. When lust is fulfilled, which means you pursue the lust, whatever that you feel obsessed by, all right. beg, borrow, steal, get a loan, go and buy. You would expect some satisfaction. There will be for a momentary period of time, very, very short time. How long will that satisfaction last? Until you see something else, until contemplation kicks in for something else. Understand? So, when lust is fulfilled, it leads to greed. When the same lust is unfulfilled, it leads to anger. So, that's the relationship. When you come to this stage, you do, you are doomed, don't do, you are doomed. When lust is unfulfilled, it goes anger, goes this way. If lust is unfulfilled, the flowchart goes the other direction. Greed comes. Then you want to get more and more and more. So Krishna says, don't let it come to this stage. Nip the bud there itself. But let's continue with this flow, what Krishna is saying here. When the lust is unfulfilled, then you get angry. So the cause of anger, according to Bhagavad Gita, and this is a universal principle. A dog gets angry because it didn't get the bone it wanted. It saw something and it wanted to get it. It became obsessed with the bone, and when it couldn't get, it started to bark. You take a monkey, same. Kangaroos fight with each other. Kangaroos get angry to win over the opponent so that they can get maximum number of partners. This universal principle applies not just for humans, for all species. Same principle. When you have food, you might have seen, sometimes some videos or shots, they would play some games with the dog, their pet dog. And they will give all, let's say they have 2 bowls of food. They'll always give the small piece of meat to the dog, and the big one they'll start eat. And at one point of the dog, when it notices, it gets angry and it shows anger. Looks cute, but the dog is angry. For us, it looks cute, but the dog is actually burning from inside. How come I'm not getting the big piece? So the principle is, when we contemplate on an object, we develop attachment for that object, and it can be anything. It can be a person, it can be a car, it can be a movie, it can be a home, it can be anything. You contemplate, you think, you start to develop attachment. When you develop attachment, that attachment grows to lust. When that lust is unfulfilled, it becomes anger. When one gets angry, this is the second lesson. So now you understand the cause of anger. Next time you get angry, you think, how did I come to this point? And you work your way back. And you will realize, this thing, you know what? There's no point in getting angry. It's anyway beyond my control. What can I do? It will give you much more solace. You will retract back very easily. Next time you get angry, catch yourself there, work your way backwards. Nip it in the bud there. In my place, there is a saying, when you're drowning, it doesn't matter how much water is above your head, whether it's 1 inch or 1 foot. Does it really matter? No. Normally, when we start to get angry, we think it's too late to actually go back. No, it's never too late to mend our ways. It's never too late to accept, this is not working, and take a step back. There is a famous war strategist by name Sun Tzu. Might have come across his name. He is famous for a book on strategies known as The Art of War. He says that, we'll talk about him more probably next week or week after that. But he says, in any war, if you realize that, or battle, you realize that you're not going to win, retreating back from the battle is also part of the winning strategy. Many times we make a decision and we go in a certain way. But when we realize our intuition says, no, this is wrong. People around us, our loved ones, will say this is wrong. But we are too proud to accept, I am wrong, and go back. No, you are just going down to this position of fall down. So what he says is, if you realize this is actually taking you nowhere, you need to stop and pull your legs back. We don't need to feel shy. After all, we are going to win only that way. Winning doesn't have to be a unidimensional affair. All the time you have to achieve what you originally set out to. No. When you halfway through, you realize it is taking you nowhere, you cut down the loss by pulling back. This is also winning. $1 saved is $1 earned. So either you can win by winning something, or you can win by cutting down on the losses also. So when you come to this stage of anger, you think, how is this going to help me? Or first of all, how did I come here? For every position, you can retract back. So Krishna says, this is how you protect yourself from anger. Now just to warn us, Krishna also says, if you let this anger keep going, more and more and more, what happens then? And now you will see, we may think anger is only at the 8th step. No, anger is coming at the 4th step itself. If anger goes uncontrolled, then from anger comes illusion. One gets bewildered, one gets delusional. They pin all the hopes of happiness right in just one single thing. And they are convinced, if I don't get that, this is it, my life is doomed. They are convinced about that. That's illusion. When one proceeds with that illusion, one gets bewilderment of memory. Bewilderment of memory means, as I said, we may have experience in the past of doing something wrong. We may have experience of going through some pain because of something wrong we did. And then we resolve, no, this is it. I'm not going to do any mistake at all. The rest of my life, definitely not this particular mistake. But then guess what? The thing comes to pass again you find yourself there and you think, I know this is what I'm going to face. Why did I still choose? Because the power of lust and anger, it's actually so strong, it is pushing us there. So whatever experience, knowledge, wisdom we get here, memory will get bewildered. They say poker machines, they are designed like that. Initially, if somebody goes to gamble in a poking machine, you put a dollar coin, you go bet on something. The machine itself, algorithm itself is set to give you some little gain here and there, just to get you hooked. Now, all the money you lost will never make any sense to you. Only thing you will be focused on is, I made some profit. Now, you may have lost $10,000. You may have gained $5 only. But the lust, the attraction that comes for that $5 will be so much more than the money you had lost. $9,995 you might have lost. But this $5 which you actually get, poker machine is designed like that. Initially, it will give you, just to give some beginner's luck, it will give you some profit. But our mind will be convinced with that $5 and it will cling on to that. See, you already got $5. So you know how to win. All you have to do is scale up your investment. And just keep going this way, you will actually become a multi-millionaire. But it won't work there. First time you will go, you lose, come out. Second time you go, again, mind won't let us. Once you go through, start to think again, it won't let you actually control there. You'll come exactly to the same point. What happened to all the lessons? What happened to all the embarrassment you went through in the past? What happened to all the advices you received, all the resolution you made? It just goes out of the window. Bewilderment of memory. That's what bewilderment of memory means. Wherein we learn something, some wisdom as part of our life, part of studying something, part of gaining something. You may go counseling, learn something, but you can't hold on to that lesson. That's what bewilderment of memory means. When memory is lost, when whatever lessons you learned, whatever value system you have is corrupted. Intelligence is dependent on the memory. Our buddhi can actually guide us only based on whatever we have stored in our memory. Some experience, something that happens in our life, sometimes what happens is we try to draw from our experience. This way or that way, somehow, somewhere, we try to draw from our experience and see how it is actually going to be applicable in this current situation. But the source of our knowledge, which is our memory, part of our system, if that goes away, if that gets corrupted, now intelligence is like a rudderless ship. It doesn't know where to draw the knowledge from. So it will make wrong decisions. And when intelligence makes wrong decisions, then one will fall down again to this material world. In other words, what Krishna is saying is one will keep repeating the same mistake over and over and over again. As I said, Mind will start to convince, anyway you're drowning, why does it matter whether if the water is like 1 inch above your head or 1 foot above your head? Anyway, you are bad. Many times mind convinces us like that. Okay, so this way, Krishna gives in principle form, like a flowchart in these two verses. Like this, Bhagavad Gita, when you read, we can read it from many perspectives. One way is, we can see this as a book where Arjuna was bewildered. He might have come across in the first chapter itself. Arjuna has already given the list of reasons why he won't fight. So as of now, you may be thinking, okay, this book is about convincing Arjuna. No. Krishna won't even tell Arjuna. If you go through the entire Bhagavad Gita, 700 verses, Krishna won't even tell to Arjuna, oh Arjuna, you should fight for entire Gita. No. Krishna tells to Arjuna probably maximum half a dozen times to a dozen times. That's all. And Krishna will stop talking about fighting after like 9th, 10th chapter. Once you will hear later, in 11th you will come across. But otherwise, Krishna never tells Arjuna, you have to fight. No. As I said, maximum maybe a dozen times. Of 700 verses, Krishna probably might have said 6 times to 12 times. That's how many times Krishna speaks about Arjuna fighting. Which means this book teaches something much, much more. Arjuna, Krishna takes him as a case study. And Arjuna throws questions from his bewildered position. From that bewildered position, whatever Arjuna speaks, Krishna takes that, draws the universal principle like this. Any question which Arjuna speaks about, Krishna pulls universal principle like this and he gives the answer. Arjuna is smart enough to grasp that and understand, applying that knowledge. We also need to be smart enough to go through this, gain the knowledge and derive wisdom from it. That's why we have to come together, study, you ask questions, you are reading verse by verse or section by section, go through that and you read. And the more, rather than contemplating on sense objects, we should be contemplating more on the knowledge which Krishna is giving here. I'll finish with one story. I have 3 minutes more for 1 o'clock. That's like a hard stop. Who is qualified to study Bhagavad Gita? You don't need to know Sanskrit. I don't even know Hindi. So you don't need to know Sanskrit. That's point number 1. Point number 2, there is a beautiful story in the Puranas that mention about, some of you might have heard already. Once Narada Muni goes to see a Brahmana, somebody who is well versed in Shastras. In those days, how many Vedas, 4 Vedas are there, depending on how many Vedas one has mastered, one will be given a title. Trivedi, Chaturvedi. Trivedi means one who has mastered 3 Vedas. Chaturvedi means one who has mastered 4 Vedas. Dvivedi means one who has mastered 2 Vedas. So Narada Muni goes to meet a Chaturvedi, somebody who had mastered all the 4 Vedas, Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Samaveda, Atharva Veda, all 4. So he goes, Chaturvedi recognizes the exalted position of Narada Muni, greets him, worships him, and then he tells to Narada Muni that you are very close to Vishnu. Can you please ask the Supreme Lord when I will go back to Vaikuntha? In other words, when I will get liberated from this material world and go to spiritual world. Narada Muni says, no problem. And Narada Muni goes to the other side of the banyan tree, under which the Brahmana was seated, but on the other side there was another cobbler. Cobbler means one who stitches shoes. He is illiterate, he doesn't even know how to read and write. Narada Muni goes, cobbler also greets him, cobbler asks him the same question. Narada Muni, you are very close to Vishnu, can you please tell me how long it will take for me to leave this material world and go to spiritual world? Narada Muni goes straight to Vaikuntha, asks Vishnu this question. Vishnu tells him that cobbler, this is his last birth, he will come to me at the end of his life. But this Brahmana, it will take many, many lifetimes. Narada Muni gets shocked. My lord, I thought he is well versed in Shastras, he is supposed to come to you quicker. Then Vishnu says, I won't answer your question directly. You go back to them and you tell this news. You tell the news to cobbler that he will come back to me immediately at the end of this life, but the Brahmana will take many more lifetimes. And by the way, if any of them ask what I am doing here when you met me, just tell them that I was trying to squeeze a big elephant through the eye of a needle. You know needle? You usually run a thread through the eye of a needle. So Vishnu tells to Narada Muni, you tell them that I was trying to squeeze this big elephant through the eye of a needle. Just to tell them that. Narada Muni says, all right, my lord. Then he goes, first he goes, meets the Brahmana and he tells, oh Brahmana, I'm really sorry to tell you, Vishnu says that it's going to take you many more lifetimes. Now, Brahmana gets very upset because he was very proud of his literacy. He was very proud of his knowledge. He says, Narada Muni, I don't trust you. If you had really seen Vishnu, tell me what he was doing. Narada Muni, remembering the words of Vishnu, tells him, oh Vishnu, he was trying to squeeze a big elephant through the eye of a needle. And when the Brahmana hears, he claps his hands and he mocks at Narada Muni. This is the proof that you didn't see Vishnu. How can anyone squeeze such a big elephant through the eye of a needle? Then Narada Muni says, all right, so be it. Goes to the other side. When the cobbler sees him, immediately the cobbler greets him, makes him seated, and then with full respect he asks Narada Muni, my lord, did you see Vishnu? Then Narada Muni says, yes, I saw Vishnu. What was he doing? Are you not interested to know about, your destination? Cobbler rejected that and he says, I'm not so interested in that. I'm very keen to know about Vishnu. Please tell me. Then Narada Muni repeated exactly same thing. Vishnu was trying to squeeze a big elephant through the eye of a needle. And then when cobbler hears that, he goes into ecstasy. Now Narada Muni gets confused. Narada Muni asks, hey, do you really believe in what I said? He said, yes. How can you believe when I say elephant is so big, eye of the needle is so small, how can he squeeze? Then the cobbler, he got from his seat, picks up a small seed of a banyan tree, crushes it and he sees even tiny more seeds inside that fruit of the banyan tree. And he says, you see, Narada Muni, you see this small seed, you see this huge banyan tree, Vishnu has squeezed that banyan tree into the small seed. If we can do that into this tiny small seed, what is so wonderful about him being able to squeeze a huge elephant through the eye of a needle? Of course it's possible. Then Narada Muni realizes about the exalted position of a cobbler. So how much one progresses in devotion has got nothing to do with how nicely one can remember. There are many people who can remember Bhagavad Gita, but they don't follow Bhagavad Gita. So what matters is not so much about how much we can remember. A robot can remember more. So bhakti is not a matter of how much we can remember. It's not a matter of how nicely you can recite the verses. They're all good. It's not bad. Definitely it is good, but that's not good enough. What matters is even if you take one verse of Bhagavad Gita, put that into practice, then our life is successful. That's the beauty of Bhagavad Gita. You take one verse, read that, and you see whatever principle you can take. Do you think any of you will lose anything in life by following this principle? Krishna is saying, if you want to control anger, just, stop contemplating. Don't worry if you look at something, if you think there is a need, okay, go buy. Otherwise, don't worry about it. You already have something, keep going. What's the problem? You will save money. You can use the money for something more productive. Correct? So, you will never be at loss by following the instructions of Bhagavad Gita. So, next time you read Bhagavad Gita, you understand Krishna, out of his love, he has left this knowledge for us. How am I make good use of this knowledge? And by doing that, we can be happy and we can keep everyone around us happy. Thank you very much for your kind attention. I'm looking at the camera, so I don't know how you're all feeling, but thank you very much. You can let me know if this format actually works for you. If this works for next 4 weeks, I'll do. Otherwise, we can go to the normal format which you do. I can sit in front of the computer. Only thing is you have to keep looking at my face for a long time. I like to use board because it's easy to focus. You will remember. Many times I give a lot of classes for the youth. They always like this because it reminds them of classroom. Mind normally switches on. All right, I can follow, I can hear. You may not actually be able to focus on hearing for a lot of time, but looking at something like this, next time you read Bhagavad Gita or any other verse, it helps you. But I'm open for suggestions. You let me know. I'm okay to go either way. As I said, this is not the only style how I give. I give a normal classroom session or log into Zoom and we give classes that way as well. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Happy Australia Day, happy Indian Republic Day, and we'll see you next week. Hare Krishna. If you have any questions, I'm over time already. If you have any questions, you can pass them on to Kankana Mataji. She will text me and I will try to answer that next week. Okay? Thank you very much. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Gopinath Bhagwan ki jai. Alice Springs Yatra ki jai. Jai Nitai Gaura Premanande. Hari Hari Bol.